We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Sarda.
Here.
Purdy.
Here.
Hoffman.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Knopf.
Here.
Mybaugh.
Here.
Minor.
Here.
Sommer.
Present.
Mayor Gross.
Here.
City Manager Nelson.
Here.
City Attorney Denner.
Here.
You have in your packet the minutes of the February 13th meeting. What is your pleasure?
Move we approve the minutes. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, the same sign. City Manager's report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Commission, just a couple of things I wanted to bring forward. We received our sales tax numbers, and I think you all got those by email as well. Sales tax combined was down 1.98% for the month of January, with triple B being up just slightly 0.32, and the first and second penny being negative 2.1%. So a little softer than we'd like to see. A little too early in the year to get excited yet, but hopefully things will pick up there in terms of sales tax in the next coming months. The Community Development Department has put forth the applications made available the applications for the downtown facade grants that are funded this year, and we are putting our committee together. We've typically had one member of the Planning Commission and one member of the City Commission on there. So Commissioner Sommer served on that last year, so just looking for either a volunteer or maybe you want to ask Commissioner Sommer to do it again. But we're putting that committee together, so any thoughts or interest?
I'm fine unless somebody would like to do it. It's a pretty interesting process, to be honest. I mean, you can see what people are proposing to do. I enjoyed it. I'll do it again if nobody else wants to do it.
We have a volunteer.
Okay, we'll place Commissioner Sommer on there as well, and I've asked Community Development to find someone from the Planning Commission, and we'll pick a couple new folks from the downtown to be included in that process. I sit on there as well as Brad Beast from Community Development. I've also reached out to Gary Wood. He and I and Ross are going to sit down and visit with some of his reporters, and our whole media family, of course, is welcome to attend, just to talk a little bit about South Dakota open meeting laws and transparency and how we can all have this best approach when it comes to putting forth agendas and calling possible quorum events and all those types of things. So just kind of a refresher and talking to each other with that. Our West City Limits Road Committee has been working diligently, and they had another meeting last week. What I'm going to do is reach out to the chairman of the county commission, Chairman Kettering. He's also on that committee, and see where we're at and determine if we want to continue to have discussions or if it's time to, kind of bring all the information to you all as a board to decide where you want to go at a public meeting. So I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that who sat in on the meeting, but I think we're at a point where we need to make some determination, because very soon we'll be in construction season on our first section of West City Limits Road, and then we'll be in budget season, and after budget season is the time we'll be doing engineering for any future construction. So
The first section, by the way, is totally our responsibility because it's city on both sides. So.
Yes, it is from the railroad tracks south to Gulfview Lane. That's been engineered in-house and is going to be constructed this summer. So that's already on docket. But, those things always happen kind of a year in advance. So unless there's any questions for me, I'll let you get on to your agenda.
Just a comment in regards to the facade grant. I want to compliment those involved, the staff, as well as Greg and whoever else helped, because as your comment in here, I'd like to highlight where there's a good chance, I think, that nothing would have been done if we didn't step in and offer that grant. So kudos for you.
Thanks for saying that, Commissioner Hoffmer. You have in your packets the before and after photos. Ask the staff to include those in the packet. Kind of neat to see the change in the facade. So we'll look for similar things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be 3 or 4 properties. They can allocate all the funds to one property or whatever they best see fit. So, thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. What is your pleasure? We have 5 items in the consent agenda.
We may have some public appearances.
Thank you. Now's the time that I covered that up with Amy's notes. For the public appearances, is there anyone in the audience who has something for the commission that is not on our agenda? Please identify yourself for the home audience.
And your home address.
The tomatoes can go over on the west side of town. I'm Paul Lowry. I'd like to take this opportunity to bring this up in front of you. I've talked to a few of you here and there about the opportunity with Liberty, the entity that is doing some groundbreaking entrepreneurial startup type style of Uber solution for small communities where Uber may not go to. I know that this last week I've talked to a number of people in all different kinds of groups, whether they be business owners or also entities that have the capability to champion and get behind something such as that. And I would like to encourage the city of Yankton, meaning your body, the city, to be the lead on that. And the reason why I say that is because, first of all, I'm hearing there's a lot of entities that want to do the usual Yankton thing, which is be really conservative and scared and question and bury heads in the sand about why us, why now, let's do this when it's a sure thing. I emphasize it that way because I don't know when Yankton is going to actually be kind of what they want to talk about. There's a lot of entities. Now, when I say Yankton, I talk Yankton community, not necessarily city, but there's a lot of talk about entrepreneurism and getting excited about youth and keeping youth here and getting people from the lake. And it's the same discussion that's been going on for, 30 years. Okay, so we have an opportunity where technology has actually created something where places such as Yankton can actually leapfrog and be ahead of other communities around the country. And we have, smartphones and all this other stuff. Part of that, the changing landscape, you don't have department stores as much, they're shrinking and everything because you have Amazon and you have all this other stuff. Well, instead of, shying away from things, the thing to do is embrace change and move forward with it and get excited about it. And the thing with this Liberty situation is, one thing I've looked at on it is it takes the best of all, like the Uber and Lyft type things, but it marries it with other things like the transit bus system that we have. It can even integrate with the current cabs that are out there. It can integrate with, all kinds of other things, and it can be worked into the solutions that work best for us as a community. Something that maybe something such as a Uber may not be able to do. I just would like to say right here, I'd like you to put it on the agenda and go ahead and vote it down, but I would like the public to see that you are willing to vote down something that is so forward-thinking and awesome for this community to actually have everything that we've wanted. And, the thing I keep hearing is there's this initial fee, and the initial fee is, well, then what if it still needs money? What if? I say call it a study. What if it succeeds? Awesome. If it fails, I really could care less. It would be awesome to try something as forward-thinking as this. And I know it's scary, but you know what? We do studies in this town all the time for $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. And there are these studies that get you to go, okay, maybe, maybe not. Anyway, I'm going to summarize with just, I would like to motivate you guys to go ahead and try to put this on the agenda, get it out there. If you do it now, you can actually do it before the summer, which is the best time to have the best test of it. and go ahead and be bold. People want bold leaders in this town. They really do. And I'm not saying this is going to be it, but this is a pretty doggone good thing. And I will say, as a business owner that depends on people being able to come and go and get transit, and I've had a lot of out-of-towners that could not get transit, if we want to be this community that does this type of thing, I'm just saying this is your opportunity. Next year, it's not the same thing. 40 communities will be ahead of you. You won't have the PR appeal. So, anyway.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? All right, now moving to the consent agenda, of which there are 5 items. The first is a transient merchant license and special events dance license for Riverboat Days, August 18th to 20th. The second is a possible quorum event for the Chamber annual meeting on March 28th. The third is a possible quorum event for the Chamber Media Forum on March 21st. That's the forum for city commissioners. And the fourth is a possible quorum event for the Interchange Forum, also for city commissioners, on March 20th. And the fifth is the consideration of Memorandum 17-42 recommending approval of the mayor's appointment to the Park Advisory Board, which had a vacancy. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
For the public, can you tell them who your appointment is?
Yes, it's
Parks
Dr.
and Rec?
Withrow. Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the consent agenda? There are no questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Under old business, now is the time and the place for a public hearing for the sale of alcoholic beverages, consideration of Memorandum 17-33, and for a special malt beverage retail license and a special wine license for Riverboat Days again, August 18th to 20th. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on the motion? You would take the mic and identify yourself for the home audience. Pardon?
My name is Dave Wright. I'm on the board of directors of the Yankton Area Riverboat Days for more years than I can care to remember. I'd just like to say that it's a pleasure once again to come before the commission to talk about Riverboat Days very briefly. I'd like to say that I think Riverboat Days is a rising tide. It lifts all ships. And, you know, I know we're down in sales tax, but I usually think about the time August rolls around, the sales tax goes up a little bit, and so does the B&B tax, and so on and so forth. I think it's a tremendous event that Yankton has, and it's a time to kind of let your chest swell out a little bit and feel proud of Yankton for what we do. And like I said, I like to call it a rising tide because there are so many parts of Yankton, huge number of groups that raise money at Riverboat Days, huge sums of money. We pay thousands of dollars to have the trash picked up. We pay a lot of money to various groups to do things at Riverboat Days, and it's just an event that we're very, very proud to be a part of, and we want to thank the city for all that you do to help us put on this event. You know, from extra times of sweeping the streets and providing us with no parking signs and helping us get picnic tables out and all those different kinds of things. It's an event that couldn't happen without a lot of people putting their hands together and being a part of a very successful event. So thank you, and we're looking forward to putting on another great event. And as always, I would be more than willing to accept any comments or questions that anyone would have.
Any comments for Dave? Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Abstain.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 2 is a public hearing for the sale of alcoholic beverages. It's a special malt beverage retail license and a special wine retail license, again for Riverboat Days, August 18th through 20th. This one is at the City Hall location in case of torrential rain, which we certainly hope we don't have. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to this issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Abstain.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3, consideration of memorandum, item 3 is a public hearing for the sale of alcoholic beverages. Consideration of memorandum 17-38 regarding the request for a special events retail liquor license for March 25th from Dayhoff Enterprises, doing business as O'Malley's Bar, for Lewis and Clark Theater Company. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum. Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to this issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4, time and a place for a public hearing on the sale of alcoholic beverages. Memorandum 17-39 regarding the request for a special events malt beverage retail license and a special on-sale wine license for one day, July 2nd, for the center at 900 Whiting Drive. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5. Now is the time and the place for a public hearing for the sale of malt beverages. A consideration of memorandum 17-40, special events malt beverage license for March 17th at the center, 900 Whiting Drive. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, so did we already approve the one for this weekend, or is this another one?
Yes,
next weekend
we
later?
have. I misspoke this morning on my radio show, and I said that this one was for the Wine and Dine. We've already done the Wine and Dine. This one is associated with their March for Meals campaign and St. Patrick's Day, where I believe Joe Morrow will be serving the center green beer. So I don't know if we need some more law enforcement that day or not, Chief, but it could get kind of wild on St. Patrick's Day at the center. I'm working that day at the center too.
So March 4th, we covered that last time.
Yeah, yes. I just want to talk about green beer.
That was Omaro for that.
Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? If there are no other questions, roll call.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Under new business, item number 1, transfer of hangar ground lease at Changurney Airport, consideration of memorandum 1718, and approval of a signed lease agreement, resolution 17-05, regarding a transfer from Hoffner Flying Inc. to Driftwood Creek Flying Club LLC. What is your pleasure?
I'll move the memorandum.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner,
Abstain.
Johnson,
Aye.
Knopf,
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 2, purchase of fairway mowers for Fox Run Golf Course. Consideration of memorandum 17-30 regarding the purchase of 2 fairway mowers for Fox Run. I think the total cost is approximately $89,000. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion?
I got a question. We had a 3-year budget of $52,000. So is this basically that $156,000, or would there be more equipment that would be part of that budget?
Nope, it was 3. We currently have 3 fairway mowers. Rocky has suggested that we can get by with 2. So the 3 years, 3 mowers would have been 52, 52, and 52. We're buying 2 of them in 1 year, so the third year of 52 goes away.
So the 2016 and 17 we've carried over to, we're in 17 now.
Yeah,
And so
the golf budget's a little bit different than our other park and recreation budget. We prioritize each year. We budget, but then we prioritize, so there's really no carryover since we have a loss at the golf course. So this is our 2 big purchases on capital for the golf course this year, and then we readjust everything for next year going forward again based on Rocky's priorities every year. These 2 mowers, as you can see in the memo, should have been replaced starting in 2007. The staff's kept them alive and kept them working, and they're in great shape, but it came to the point now where Doug, our head mechanic, is retiring in March, and Rocky didn't feel comfortable trying to get any more years out of him. So,
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Minor,
Aye.
Sommer,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Erdig,
Aye.
Hoffner,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Knopf,
Aye.
Mybom,
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 3, request to host the Midwest Park and Recreation Association Conference. Consideration of memorandum 17-44 regarding said request. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion?
Where do we know where it's going to be held, or did I miss that?
So we have had discussions with Kelly Inn, Best Western Kelly Inn. We will have to reserve the whole hotel. Average attendance between the delegates that come from different city park and recreations or state agencies or what have you, and exhibitors. There is an exhibit hall, so people show off their golf course mowers and picnic benches and parks amenity stuff. Is about 100. They tell you to plan for 175. I think I threw some numbers in the memo. A low of 130 some to a high of almost 200. So we'll plan for 175. I think there's 120 some rooms at the Kelly Inn. So we'll block off all of those. We're still in discussions on if we're going to use the 3 meeting rooms out there to be one big banquet area, that it will have the exhibitors set up in there. We'll do our breakfasts in there and have a keynote speaker in the morning. And then if we want to walk everybody over to the NFA, they have meeting rooms then available, so we could have our 3 or 4 breakout session rooms to have the educational sessions going on over there. So we're working out those details, going back to Minerva's for lunch. One night, everybody goes out. We plan a barbecue or something off-site. Tuesday night of the conference, there's an actual official banquet to end it. Everybody leaves on Wednesday. So we're looking at the Kelly Inn and NFAA working between the rooms and the educational rooms that we're going to need. And then we'll still need some other hotel rooms, obviously.
So thank you, I guess, to Director Larson and your staff. You can hear this is a pretty big undertaking, and it's a great Triple B event that was not expected to occur in Yankton. So thank you for you and your staff's time to try and get this all assembled.
We will host a state park and rec association just for South Dakota in 2020. The Midwest has typically been Custer, Rapid City, or Sioux Falls. And this time around, it's late in the game, but nobody in the state really was interested in trying to host anything like this. So we have that opportunity, and so we're gonna jump on it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue?
April, I don't have my memo open.
22nd through the 25th.
People and vendors show up on Sunday. There's a social on Sunday night. Classes are held Monday and Tuesday during the day. Again, there can be some off-site tours also. Monday night is a meal at the hotel. I think sometimes they do some silent auction type fundraising things for the Midwest Conference. Tuesday night is off-site, and then Monday night. I should say Sunday night's the appetizers. Monday night is off-site, and then Tuesday night's the banquet with some auction to try to fundraise and some stuff like that. So it's a Sunday through a Wednesday. Everybody leaves on Wednesday in April.
2018.
2018, yes, 2018.
Thank you. Any other questions? There are none. Roll call.
Sumner.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4, Planning Commission, first reading of Ordinance 994, which is consideration of Memorandum 17-41, introduction and first reading of the ordinance setting March 27th as the date to consider a rezoning from A1 Ag to Industrial in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction on Lot D of Yagi's 3rd Edition. It's a piece of ground approximately 30 foot wide by 650 foot long, which would provide access for concrete materials to exit on Whiting Drive or enter on Whiting Drive out on the east side of town. All I need tonight is an introduction.
Introduced.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, consideration of Memorandum 17-49 regarding sidewalk cafe license for 215 West 3rd Street, which is Willoughby's LLC. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? There are no questions. Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, sidewalk cafe license for Boomers. Consideration of Memorandum 17-46. This is at 100 East 3rd Street. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7, sidewalk cafe license for the Riverfront Events Center. Consideration of Memorandum 17-48, 121 West 3rd Street. What is your
I'd like to make
pleasure?
a motion, we approve memorandum 17-48.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion?
Just a quick comment, I guess. I was very pleasantly surprised to see 3 of these tonight on the agenda. So maybe Yankton is getting a little more aggressive and forward thinking. Good to see it.
Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue?
Out of curiosity, anybody in the audience representing these entities, these owners? And I don't think this is something Joe could talk to. I would just be curious to know if you have any insight into how successful. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Oster. I would be curious to know if you've received any feedback from these entities on how successful it was for them last year. So these are repeat applicants, and what they anticipate for this year, perhaps an uptick in traffic, for instance.
I had the opportunity, actually through the permitting process, to speak with each of the applicants, and I heard that they were very, very interested in doing it this year. And this is actually the first year that we've had to go to the commission with all the applications versus some of them were grandfathered in last year. And, the other boomers, especially, I think they had a good year last year. They can sell alcohol on the sidewalk as part of this. And I think there were certain nights in South Dakota, I think it's kind of a hit and miss, but when they do have a good night, it's a good night. It's fun to sit outside.
I saw Boomers, they're going to add some planters to their arrangement, right?
Yeah, actually, those were on the plan from last year. I don't know if all of them got placed out last year, but that's kind of the plan.
Is it fair to say that their $25 investment was pretty easy to recoup?
I think so.
Thank you.
I had no problem getting the $25 application fee, I'll put it that way.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience care to speak to this? No, he hasn't said anything. Does he? No. Okay, roll call.
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Aye.
Mybach?
Aye.
Minor?
Aye.
Sommer?
Aye.
Sarda?
Aye.
Burdick?
Aye.
Mayor Gross?
Aye, motion carries. Item number 8, consideration of memorandum 17-43 regarding an agreement between the City of Yankton and the Heartland Humane Society. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Amy, perhaps you would explain what this is about?
Sure. I'll start off, and if Ross and the chief want to jump in and save me if I get beyond my wheelhouse, I'd invite them to do that. For a long time now, over a year, we've been working with Heartland Humane Society to partner with them to streamline, I guess, our services with our animal population. So many of you know that Heartland Humane Society invested in a bigger building, and they have a new facility now, and they're building out so that they're able to intake a lot of animals. We currently have a pound by our wastewater treatment plant where we can service a number of animals, but it's certainly not a large facility. I would call that facility adequate, and I would call what Heartland Humane can provide for animals in our community to be far more adequate, as well as provide a better setting for animals that are either running at large or that are brought in or that are injured. So basically what this is an agreement for Heartland Humane Society, once they are up and running and have their build-out complete, to house our animals and serve as our impoundment agency. They'd follow our ordinances and our regulations. There'll be an opportunity for our police department to have a 24-hour drop-off, so they'd have access. Eventually, Heartland will have a way to house dangerous animals or animals that are being considered as being dangerous because they've bitten or attacked somebody. So they'll have that facility as well. And they'll work with us then and work with our animal control on going through our process, because we can hold animals for so many days and then they need to be released or, what have you, where their owner claims them. So I guess what we felt was that, we currently have a $10,000 budgeted for our pound, and over the years, with the condition of our pound, we've needed to spend a lot of that capital to keep it going and keep it an adequate facility. And so based on the cost per animal, we've worked out with Heartland Humane Society that $10,000 that's already currently being budgeted would go to them for the treatment and care of our animals that are placed there during their impoundment. So any questions of detail, I'll probably pass on to Ross, the chief, or Carrie Hatchesy is also here. She's the director of Heartland, and we're excited about this because we've been working on it for so long, but we just think it's a way, again, we can avoid duplication of services in our community. We have great officers, as you know, and a great animal control officer, but they're animal experts, so it made sense for us to let the experts handle the animals.
Any other questions?
So I see that the memorandum says that we will keep the current facility open for a few months or operating, and then do we have any long-term plans for that area? I know it's not very large.
Yeah, so she felt that it was a good idea, to keep that going a couple of months into the relationship, make sure it's working out, and they're still working on their build-out too, so there'll be a while where they may be able to take some of our animals and not all of our animals. That facility is not in great shape. It's a brick building, but I don't know if we'd keep it for storage or just keep the building there if we needed to use it again, but it's not a great facility, and it's not I don't know what it was built for, but doesn't seem to me like it was built for what it's being used as, because it's not a really great space to use. So we'll take a look at it, but I'm guessing it might end up being a storage facility or may eventually go away.
So realizing that the Humane Society may have to deal with some dangerous animals, if one of their employees is injured by these animals, are we legally liable for that, or do they take on that responsibility?
We are not. I mean, they've got their own insurance to cover their own employees, but quite frankly, the city's impounded animals are going to be separated from their general population of animals that they're caring for and trying to adopt out. There's a dedicated impoundment area, and I think drop-offs are primarily going to be handled by our law enforcement. They'll just make sure they're fed and watered and handled for the impoundment period.
So I have a quick question, and I just preface it by saying that I've been through the facility multiple times, most recently to pick up my cupcakes, which were awesome, but very well-run facility as well. I just have a question, though, about the $10,000. So it seems reasonable how you came across that amount, but we're also going to be compensating Heartland Humane as part of any veterinary services, kind of on a onesie-twosie basis as animals come in. But $10,000, and we're going to prorate it whenever this takes effect, but it's also possible that we may not give them any animals at all this year. I mean, it's possible, but then is it also fair to consider that maybe we should do it on a per animal basis, that maybe there is a flat fee per animal?
We actually impound a large number of animals over the course of the year. In fact, they were willing initially to start taking animals on a per animal basis until we sort of all came to the conclusion that we just collect too many animals.
So what you're telling me is we're getting a really good deal.
I think at the end of the day we're going to come out ahead on this. But we budget $10,000 to operate the pound. There's an additional budget set aside already for veterinary care for that sort of thing that's not included in the 10. So we're already budgeting for the extra money for the veterinary extra on top.
My only concern, I think it's a great idea. My only concern is this a year-to-year
Yep, I believe we have an annual contract that renews on an annual basis. Correct? Is that right?
Yeah. And I would hope, and I'm sure we'd probably be able to not have any problems with this. But if there ever comes a day where, okay, the money gets too high, or we decide, or something happens and we don't get along and we have to separate, we're kind of in a corner. I mean, what would a backup plan be?
Yeah, I understand, and your concern. Over the course of the last couple years, in talking with Carrie, and I guess I got to know Carrie when I was first in town, before she left and then came back. We've established the trust and the rapport with that agency. I think we do have a good relationship with them. One of the things I'm confident about is their board members are community members, so I'm pretty confident that we can continue that good relationship. If we can't, we'll have to change the way we do business, but I feel like we have some common goal in that we want to provide, shelter and proper care for animals in our community, and we all don't want a bunch of dogs and cats running around without ownership and without being spayed or neutered. So I feel like we have some common goals that we'll work through together. I don't have any trepidation about moving into an agreement with them. And I don't think Heartland does either. I think we've worked through a lot of the issues that we may have had and maybe misunderstandings that have happened in the past, and I think we feel good about how we're going to go forward.
I would just like to say that I know that both staff and Humane Society personnel have done extensive work on both language and logistics of this, and I think it's win-win for the city, and I know it's a win for the animals. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Hi, I'm Carrie with Heartland Humane Society. I think I'll just make a few comments. It's regarding the finances. And one would be, in the grant funding world for humane societies, if we're making an income off of a city, we become an animal control entity, and we can't apply for grants. So this is a hope to be a wash. We hope to break even annually. So if that price goes up in a year or two and we're requesting a few more, we'll have the data to show you why, because we're spending more than that $10,000. Equally, I think the board of Heartland Humane Society wants this probably more or equally as the city does. It just makes sense to have animals under one roof, where if we're going to take them essentially anyway from the pound, why not have them on site right away so we can start the flea and tick control and those kind of things that we'll do at our own expenses. We also will, we should be open as a humane society in the facility by the end of April. And then we will shift focus onto this far north end of the facility to start focusing on the pound. So I do think it's something that will happen this year, hopefully by this summer as well. We will probably never have a vet on site, but we do have a vet tech under our employment. So her education is far above mine in the aspect of animal control. So when you have something that is coming in injured overnight that a police officer may have picked up first thing in the morning, we will have a staff to say, this animal is fine, this animal needs vet care, this animal's above and beyond what we can do for it. So I think for the city purposes and the public concern, you've got some upfront medical attention daily on these pound animals that aren't happening right now. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Johnson.
Aye.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Purdy.
Aye.
Johnson. Hoffner.
Abstain.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 9, bid award for the 25th Street pavement replacement. Consideration of memorandum 17-45 regarding a bid award for 25th Street replacement from Douglas to Mulberry. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Purdy.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 10, agreement for professional services for the 8th Street reconstruction engineering from Summit to Broadway. Consideration of memorandum 17-36. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Purdy.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 11, steel transfer station walking floor trailer, consideration of memorandum 17-47 regarding the bid award for said trailer for the Department of Public Works. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Fertig.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 12, consideration of Memorandum 17-29, which is the Sixth Amendment to the Joint Powers Agreement. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Fertig.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
I'm confused. I'm sorry. Sixth Amendment or Seventh Amendment?
This says Sixth.
Okay. Sixth in the agenda and seventh in the packet. Packet's
Okay.
incorrect.
Packet is incorrect.
But the packet, or the packet says Seventh Amendment.
I'm sorry, the agenda says Sixth.
Right.
Packet says
The
Seventh.
agenda's incorrect.
The agenda is incorrect.
Apologize. Seventh Amendment to the Joint Powers.
Seventh Amendment.
Yes to Seventh Amendment.
Thank you.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 13, agreement for firing range for Police Department, consideration of memorandum 17-35 regarding said firing range for the Police Department. What is your pleasure?
Move the memorandum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
I noticed this is a savings over our previous location. How big of a savings is it?
Savings is $800 a year, and we were doing an annual renewal of contract with Frank Vielick where we were last year. Moving to Marquardt will be in a 10-year cycle. So over the course of the time, it'll be $1,000.
Any other questions?
Many thanks to Mr. Marquardt. Much appreciated.
Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Fertig.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 14, the housing study update, consideration of memorandum 17-50 regarding said housing study update. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, a comment. The first thing I thought of is we just did this. Why are we spending more money and did this housing study when we kind of know an idea where we are? But I reversed my decision and stand in favor of this. And because 2 years ago we went to D.C., we were with some officials of possible grant money, and they asked us what we were doing as far as a housing study. So we're engaged in that and we're finishing it up, and they said, good. Makes a big difference if we were eligible for any funds at all. Then having this in place, it makes sense in that department and other reasons, but that's one thing that changed my tune on it, to have that in place. Just basically having your ducks in a row for federal funding.
And the commission will note that YPG has agreed to fund this. What they're asking is that we staff it in terms of manage the consultant, work with the consultant through our community development department. Much has changed since we did our last housing study. It was only 3 years ago, but we've done a lot of housing construction. So going forward, I think YPG, and I think it's in the city's best interest to know what our new housing needs are. Have they changed? Are they the same? Should we continue to be building at all levels, or should we be focusing solely on apartments, that type of thing? So I think that'll give us a little more clarity as we move forward into next phases of things like Westbrook Estates and will be available for private developers, of course, too, to take a look at.
So the cost of this update, $18,900. Can you provide me a little context what it originally cost us as an initial study 3 years ago?
Yes, I believe the initial study was $25,000, and I believe that included. I believe that included some outlying areas as well. Essentially, they're going to be updating all aspects of the study, so it's not much less than what we initially paid for. It might have been 30, but I think it was in the $25,000 range. So I'd have to go back though to give you the exact amount.
No worries. Thank you.
Didn't YPG pay for part of it too?
YPG paid, I think, for all of it last time as well. So I think it was a benefit for you all when we started working on the TIF and considering the need. Gave a little more confidence to say, yeah, this is a gap in the housing market.
Other questions or discussion? Anyone in the audience care to speak to the issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Burdick.
Aye.
Hoffner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Knopf.
Aye.
Mybom.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Sommer.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Gross.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 15 is where the mayor looks for 3 volunteers, consideration of memorandum 17-51, volunteers for the Consolidated Board of Equalization. Can I find 3 volunteers?
Sign me up.
I have one. I was on sabbatical last year, so I could. I'm in the classroom this year, so.
I'll do it.
Okay, that's 2.
Well, I would just like to note that the first meeting happens on Election Day. That's all.
All right. I guess the mayor will have to bring his class to the county meeting. All right, thank you. We have 3.
They need a motion in a second.
All right, we need a motion and a second to approve those 3 volunteers.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
Do we need an alternate? I mean, like a sub?
I'll be an alternate.
Tony's the
So
alternate.
it's nice because
Charlie's busy.
Yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. At this point, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual and litigation matters under South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
That's what I was talking about.